Hi, everybody. It is Monday the 26th or Tuesday the 27th, and one or both of these days, Miss Tucker should be here today with us as she is going to become a high school teacher, hopefully, in her near future. So she teaches at the middle school, and I'll let her introduce herself in a little bit as well. So today we are going to be looking at two concepts of symbolism and allegory, and we'll be looking at those concepts through the story called The Sneetches. Let me put this on presentation mode so you can see this a little better. So our learning goal today, again, dealing with symbolism, allegory, is to think about figurative language and the relationships and meanings between symbolism and allegory. I'm kind of assuming that you've heard of symbolism, but allegory might be a newer term. To get started, I want you to kind of think about, what do you already know about symbolism? I'm thinking that probably a lot of you know that a symbol is something that represents something else, like maybe even a railroad crossing sign. That's a symbol that there's a railroad ahead, or a pedestrian sign, or a stoplight, or the shape of a stop sign. Those are all symbols. Allegory is when characters or events represent something different or greater. So a symbolism is kind of like a mini allegory, kind of. And allegories are a little bit harder to think of because you have to kind of think outside of the box as to what does that character represent, or what is the event representing as a whole. So in allegories, okay, it's a narrative, so it's a story that's a story that's told in which characters and actions represent concepts different from their literal meaning of the story. So it's not just what they're saying or doing, which is literal, it's a deeper meaning beyond what they represent. Characters in an allegory usually represent a specific person or generic stereotype of a type of person in society. So, like an allegory would be like the cowardly lion, that some people in life really try to come across as super powerful, but inside they're real cowardly. So the cowardly lion from The Wizard of Oz is actually a character that represents a deeper meaning in society for people who try to act all tough, but they really, really aren't that tough. Objects in allegories often serve a literal and symbolic purpose, as they are necessary to the literal plot and the greater symbolic representation of real people, events, and cultural norms. So we're going to look at some of those allegory examples through The Tortoise and the Hare, a couple of stories, as well as The Sneetches. So if you look here at the screen, you can see some symbols. Like the shell is a symbol because it is a symbol in a story called Lord of the Flies. And in Lord of the Flies, you have to have the shell to be able to talk. So not only is the shell a representation or a symbol that represents that you are able to talk, but it's almost a deeper meaning, or an allegory, that you are the one that's kind of governing or ruling when you have that shell in the story. So you'd have to read the story to kind of get that. The lion is a symbol of fierceness and strength. But like I was saying, the cowardly lion in The Wizard of Oz is an allegory for those people in society who try to act really strong on the outside, but they're really fearful on the inside. Here's a picture down in the lower left of the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan is a symbol in that that person provides goodness to others or help, okay? And in the Bible, the Good Samaritan is an allegory for the people that are helpful to others in real society. So it can be a symbol and an allegory with deeper meaning. The color red can represent blood or bloodshed, and that can be a symbol for red. The dove is a symbol of peace. The dove can be a symbol of peace. The difference between symbolism and allegory, I'm going to show you a little slideshow here. Because they're very similar, but there is a difference. It's beyond just literally what it means. Symbolism is more literal, and allegory has a deeper meaning in the world, in society, and it kind of represents people or societies in general. So the student will be able to define, recognize, and explain symbolism, allegory, and figurative language in this slideshow. And I think I have to scroll on this one. Here we go. Okay, so, those were symbols right here. A bathroom, dove is peace, death, poison, those are all symbols. A symbol is an event, object, person, or animal to which an extraordinary meaning or significance has been attached. Okay, so a symbol of faith, roses of love, and patriotism. Where do these symbols come from? They're inherited or invented, like the Statue of Liberty is of freedom for people immigrating to the United States by the way of Ellis Island. Why create symbols? They give us deeper meanings when we read. Symbols allow us to convey an idea with meaning. So if you understand a symbol, you can give it deeper idea. A symbol is like a pebble cast into a pond. It sends out ever-widening ripples. So it kind of has more to the story. On the other hand, allegory, you have to understand between literal interpretation and figurative. Literal is what it says, just the words, like in plot. You're not looking deeper in the meaning. So it's like the words on the page is literal. Figurative is you have to think deeper, like how do these things work together metaphorically? So what some might know, you can read and find out. What you know and what you really should know. It's like deeper meaning, and what you may never know, or the unknown, is deeper meaning. So we look for meaning in symbolism, in allegory. Here's an example of allegory in Lord of the Flies. It's a great book that some of you maybe have read. So literally reading, these boys are stuck on an island. Ralph is a leader. Jack is always fighting Ralph for power, and Simon is kind of strange. So that is literal ideas of Lord of the Flies. But it can also be read as an allegory. So there's religious aspects to the whole story. There's political aspects to the whole story with these people on the island, moral and social. So not only is it literally a story, but it also has deeper meaning through religion, politics, moral, and social concepts. Those are all allegory because they stand for something beyond themselves. So can the characters in allegory. The setting can be abstract. So in other types, characters and situations stand for historical figures and events. An example of allegory, literal, it's just the words on the page, straightforward meaning. It can be read for symbolic or allegorical meaning. Allegories are often intended to teach a moral lesson or make a comment about goodness and depravity. We are going to look at an example in just a little bit. So I'm not going to share this slide with you because we're going to look at the tortoise and the hare. Here's another allegory, the Good Samaritan. This is real world, like people helping other people. It's about ethics and morality. And this is an allegory, which is a parable, a story in the Bible. There's other parables and allegories, like I talked about the Wizard of Oz. That was one. I'm not going to share that one right now. So let's look last again at symbol is a word, place, character, object that means something beyond the literal level. An allegory is interconnected in a way that there's meaning beyond literal. Everything in the narrative is a symbol that relates to other symbols. So it's like a deeper symbolic meaning to society, and some of the characters can also have deeper symbolic meaning. So that is just a little difference between symbolism and allegory in that slideshow. So again, a symbol is something that represents something else. And now we're going to watch a little YouTube video. I'm going to stop the video here. We'll be looking at the YouTube video of the tortoise and hare and discussing the allegory that's represented in that little video. And then we will be watching a little YouTube of the reading of the book, The Sneetches, and then discuss the deeper meaning of the Sneetches. Whoops. And then we will complete a little Quizlet right here with flashcards. And then lastly, a ticket out the door after we go over the tortoise and the hare and the Sneetches. Ticket out the door. Don't forget, Grammar 101 Mod 5 is coming due on November 13th. Start reading, keep reading your book for independent reading. Part 7 is due this Friday. And then join me for Google Meet on Friday as well. So I'm going to stop my video at the hare allegory there, as well as the Sneetch.